So guys, this is Brian. I'm back here from the homestead. I wanted to talk about feed and feeding systems for a little while today. Show y'all kind of what we use. As you can see, I've got a bulk feeder here behind me and it's open so I can show you guys the inside. We feed ADM 17% meat goat pellets. This feeder is made kind of like a creep feeder, but it has some adjustment panels so you can regulate how much the goats can eat per day by using a scale that they have set up. You can kind of see here behind me, it's got this rail that stops them from being able to just scoop the feed out. It also has a gate that goes this way and one that goes this way that regulates how much feed's exposed to the goat's tongue, and then they use their tongue in a licking motion to get the feed out. So when they run out of saliva, then they have to go eat hay or grass or whatever until they can get that feed. You can see I just cleaned it out. If you can, let's get you around here where you can kind of see. You can see where I raked it out. About once a week we check that just to make sure that it's not clogging, because any kind of powder, when it's exposed to the saliva, will set up and kind of get hard, so you clean that out. Like I say, we're feeding an ADM pellet. It's a 17% pellet. I'm sure you guys can see it right here. This side's empty right now. In the winter time, we'll kind of keep this side full of corn to give them that little bit of extra fat and oats. That way, kind of keep that extra fat on them through the winter. And then this orange thing here is a mineral trough. It's an extra attachment you can get to put your loose minerals in and kind of keep them out of the weather. We also, I don't know if you can see this black tub right here, we use that. Those are ADM protein tubs. I'll try to get a picture of the tags on the feed and the tub and put them in a video. And then we keep round bales. We use round bales because we have so many goats. You can see one up here on the feeder, up here on the pond bank. We try to keep those somewhere where they dry off pretty quick, somewhere up high. We're in the process of building some permanent feeders to put those in. But this is another look at the feeder, kind of from the side. They're made by Vantage Feeders. They're really big in Australia. They've not been in the US a long time, and these feeders are good for any kind of ruminant animal, cattle or goats, sheep, so on. But I just want to talk feed a little bit. Our hay we feed is a mixed grass hay. It's not got a lot of Bermuda grass in it. It's got a lot of fescue and clover, lespedeza. Probably about 40% lespedeza. Lespedeza is really good for goats. Kind of helps with some parasite resistance and stuff. So here in just a minute, I'm going to take you and show you the goats. They seen me coming and thought they were going to get a little bit of extra feed. And if you can see them way back in the background, they went to the barn. They're used to every time we come up with a bucket or with a truck, they know they're getting some feed, so they go to the barn. So we'll head on up that way and see if we can't make a little more video. I know that I promised you guys we can go see the goats, but I wanted to stop and show you my buck feeder first. This feeder is Vantage Feeders 200 series feeder. It's a little smaller. It'll only hold about 200 pounds of grain, hence its name. Works on the same basic principle as the other feeder. You have your guard adjustments here on the side, and then one you take these bolts loose. This feeder was a little easier for me to show you the cleaning process, and I wanted to show you guys that. So there's a little clip right here you push, and you take this rail off. This feeder's already clean, but just to kind of demonstrate, I'm going to show you. It's got a bar that stores right here. You kind of have to clip out. They've got a real nice place to store it here with the feeder. And you just stick this under the lip and rank it back and forth like this. Just kind of knock that loose feed out that has gotten solidified by their saliva or rain or anything that might have blowed in. Then we will put our draper back. If I can remember which way it goes. So we put that back, and then to put the guide back or the guard back that stops them from just bulldozing that feed out with their tongue, we stick it back in this little clip. Make sure it's behind that little rail. And then just lock it back into place. And that's all there is to it. It's got 2 latches here on the side. This model is nearly all stainless. If I could talk to Vantage Feeders engineers and give them any advice, for the small guy like me and guy that don't have a huge barn, I could really use for these holes on top that has rivets right here on both sides to be a little better sealed. So I wish they could come up with somewhere else to put that stuff at, or maybe make these latches come down the side a little more, make this lip a little longer so that those rivets could be on the side instead of the top, because it does let a few drops of rain get in there, but so far it's not caused us any problems. We also have some square bale feeders that we use, such as this one here behind me. That's just basically, if you can see, a cattle panel that we cut to a certain length, and then some T-posts, and we just use some fence ties to attach the cattle panel to the T-post to make a V shape, and then they can eat the hay bale out of the T-post. And you can see, I mean, they do waste a little bit this way, but not a whole lot. That's kind of what we use for our square bales. And we've got these scattered throughout. There again, these are really high content Lespedeza bales. I don't know, they're probably 60 or 70% Lespedeza. But so I'm not sure if you can get to where you can see Big Stinky here, but this is one of our bucks. He's full-blooded registered myotonic. You can tell he's a pest. He's been shown some, and we've used him around and really made a big pet out of him. My wife really likes this goat. This is probably her favorite goat in the whole herd. You can see he's kind of long-haired through the winter, but he's just a big old pet and pest. I wish our big national champion buck would come out of the barn, but he's kind of playing shy. He's been chasing the girls. But this old guy here, he loves to have his head scratched. He'll come right up to you, and he's really just a big old pet. He stinks. I'll have to go wash my hands when I get down here, but you can see he's just a big old pet, big old muscly, meaty thing. But he's just coming 2 years old, so not quite completely filled out yet. So this is 3 of our new babies. They're only about 2.5, 3 weeks old. 2 of them's already sold. And you see they're crossing the spillway for the pond there. That's where the water runs out. You can see they're trying to find mama, and mama done left them when she went to eat at the pasture, and now they don't know where they're at. So this is some of our myotonic herd. This is mostly does and yearlings. You see a couple more babies. Those are 2 of our last bucklings born. We've got some more due anytime, sometime in the first couple, 3 weeks of March. But those two are both bucklings out of that black and white doe. You see they're eating right beside them that just turned there in front of the camera. She is Woody Creek Farms Lucky Key. And their dad is Outlaw Farms Noah. Both of those little bucks will be available as soon as they wean. So if anybody happens to be interested in a mite. So here's some more video of our fainting goats as they are myotonic goats, as you may know them, walking around the pond bank. These girls range in age from about 6 to just a few months old. This black and white goat here in the front, that very large goat, she's got 2 does on her that's fixing to wean. That little red and white one, and the little black and white one behind her. And then a couple more weanlings, and then our 2 or 3 week old newborn that belongs to the tan goat standing across the pond. And as you can see, they just keep making their way around. They are trying to play ring around the rosy with me because they're thinking I'm going to catch them. But you can kind of see all of our does and some of our yearlings that we retain, and some that we'll be selling here before long. That tan goat in the back, that was one of the first triplets out of that very first black and white doe right here on the left that you see. That's her daughter that we retained from last year. That was one of the first does born here on the farm. That black goat standing to the back there to the top of the pond bank, she's due. She's bred to our national champion buck, Woody Creek Farms Tonka. Matter of fact, I think everything we have due now to still have babies is out of Woody Creek Farms Tonka, our national champion buck that won national championship last year for the Myotonic breed. So there she is. That little white doe belongs to that tan doe that's kind of turned around scratching her back. And then that black white doe that's beside her belongs to our little Jamson Ranch Adele doe. This here is some of our blue lace red Wyandottes, which is the only chickens we have right now. As you can see, they're a pretty nice little group of chickens.